Hi.
Hi, Erin.
Hello. Can everyone hear me? Perfect. Thanks, Hadar. Welcome to ParentGood. First of all, while we're waiting for people to join, I would just like to thank ParentGood for this wonderful opportunity. It's just great that they have this platform for all these wonderful topics, not just topics that I am like an expert at myself, but other topics and other trainings available. As we all know, parenting is hard, and it's just wonderful to have these resources that are offered through the ParentGood app. So while we're waiting, I'll go ahead and tell you a little bit about myself. So while we're waiting for people to join, so my name is Erin. I am a pediatric sleep consultant and an expert here at ParentGood. I became a pediatric sleep consultant after I struggled with my son with sleep. He was up all hours of the night. People kept telling me, sleep when baby sleeps, nap when baby naps, but he was not sleeping or napping long enough for me to fall asleep or to nap. So I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I finally decided to work with a pediatric sleep consultant so I could learn the ins and outs of the everyday important task of sleep. Through learning healthy sleep habits, my son started sleeping through the night at 5 months old, and he started taking longer naps through the day. I became so passionate about baby and toddler sleep that I decided I would become a pediatric sleep consultant myself. So I studied pediatric sleep. I only trust, someone says they don't hear anything. Can you hear me? Anyway, I'm going to keep going, hoping that you can hear me. But I only trust evidence-based research and my mission. So my mission is to give you the knowledge and thank you. Thanks for commenting that you can hear me. I have a few comments coming in that you can hear me. Perfect. But my mission is to give you the confidence and the knowledge to be successful through your sleep teaching journey. I like to get to know you and your family and your child, and I like to get to know what your goals are for your child, because every family and every family has different goals. Every child is different and has their own unique needs. So I like to get to know you, your child, what your goals are, and I like to gather all that information, and I personalize your sleep plan. I personalize a step-by-step sleep plan for you, okay? So that is my mission, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. I usually do my workshops via like Zoom, and I have slides to go along with it. So if you see me looking down a little bit, I'm looking at my computer just because that's where my slides are. But I'm ready to dive in and give you all the information. If you do have questions, you can go ahead and ask in the chat, or you can wait till the end and ask, okay? So today we're talking about bad dreams and nightmares, okay? So there is a difference between night terrors and nightmares. But first, I just want to congratulate you. You survived several months of sleepless nights with a newborn. You've learned how to manage nap transitions. You've created solid bedtime routines that your toddler's now is able to sleep at the drop of a hat. Just when you think you got things figured out, here come nightmares. So what do we do about them? How do we handle them? Now we have another sleep disruption to tackle. And thankfully, most parents have been through this challenge, so you are not alone. Okay. Nightmares versus night terrors. The biggest difference between a nightmare and a night terror is recall. In the case of a nightmare, your toddler will explain in vivid detail everything that happened, from a monster's fur to the size of the flames enduring in the backyard, Though it's not always the case that they'll do that. The source of a bad dream can often be pinpointed to a stressful event or trauma that your child has recently experienced or is currently struggling with, like scary television shows, movies, books. They can also trigger nightmares, okay? Night terrors, on the other hand, occur when your child is between stages of sleeping and wakefulness. They may sit up in bed with their eyes open, or they may even get up. They could yell, scream, or panic. The incident could last anywhere from 10 minutes to 30 minutes. And then afterward, your child will fall back asleep without needing your comfort or soothing. And in the morning, your toddler or your child is unlikely to recall that anything happened out of the ordinary. So they won't even remember it. While nightmares affect everyone, night terrors are limited to about 3% of children. Okay. So again, let's just go over the difference between nightmares and night terrors. So nightmares happen during REM sleep, the REM sleep, and night terrors happen during the non-REM sleep, and they're often happening during sleep cycles. So your child is struggling to switch sleep cycles, and that's when the night terrors come in. Nightmares, they may need comforting, where night terrors, they cannot be calmed down. So they're not going to be able to be calmed down. Nightmares, they may be able to remember the details and the feelings, okay? Where with night terrors, they may not remember anything that happened, okay? With nightmares, they can be caused by stressors in everyday life, like sickness or overtiredness. Night terrors actually can be hereditary. So that's a unique thing to know about night terrors. And nightmares, they often occur in the early morning or later in sleep. And night terrors tend to occur earlier in the night, okay? Nightmares will likely not move much. So during a nightmare, you don't move much and you're not awakened by the dream. Whereas a night terror, you can shout and you can move a lot and you could walk, you could sleepwalk, you could panic, you could, and they're still going to remain asleep. Nightmares, they do happen to everyone, and night terrors, they are less likely to happen than nightmares. Okay. How to prevent nightmares. Okay, so one of the most important things is to have a regular sleep schedule. Nightmares and other sleep disturbances are more likely to occur when a child is sleep deprived or if they're not following a consistent schedule. Ideally, toddlers should get around 12 hours of sleep during the night, with a range of up to 13 or 14 hours, depending if they're 2 years old, we want them closer to that 13 to 14 hours. If they're 3, 4 years old, they can be closer to that 12 hours. Ideally, they should go to bed and wake up at the same time every day so that they have a consistent and stable routine, okay? Relaxing sleep routine. So you want to have a relaxing, consistent bedtime sleep routine. So when it's time to go to bed, your little one should feel relaxed and drowsy, but not worried about scary visions, monsters under the bed, or anything like that. So every night you should have a set routine. You should follow this routine every night consistently before bed. This could include putting PJs on. Let your toddler choose those PJs, because we all know at this age, at that toddler, preschool, kindergarten age, they like to have choices. They like to make choices and they like to be control. So let them pick their PJs, brush their teeth, read a story, letting them read their story, play a few minutes with some stuffed animals, have a few snuggles with mom and dad. And when you tuck them in, make sure that they know that they are safe and secure. Okay? Okay, so another way to prevent sleep nightmares is to have a sleep and cozy sleep environment. Their bedroom should be a safe place that allows them to refresh and recharge for the busy day ahead. Some parents opt for a night light to add to the sense of security. So you can use a night light. Some parents also just like to use a flashlight. Just make sure that the light that you do use is a warm hue. You don't want to use anything that has a blue light. That can actually disrupt sleep. And their bedroom should be comfortable. The temperature in the room should be between 68 and 72 degrees. You can leave the door. I would close the door, but if it's an issue, you can leave it cracked about an inch. And you want to take extra care to stay relatively quiet so that your toddler can fall asleep without being distracted by noise. So you can use a white noise machine that can block out any external sounds. So if you talk to any police, fire official, they will tell you that it is safest to sleep with the door closed. If you're having trouble with your child coming out of the room, there are many methods that I like to use to help transition to a closed door. You can use a baby gate at the door. You could use something called a door monkey. It's a little device that goes onto the top of the door and it keeps the door open a little bit. So if that is an issue, please reach out and I can definitely help you and give you some tips on how to transition to a closed door. It is safe. It is safest to have that door closed. Okay. White noise machines, very important as well, especially for younger babies. Also is important for toddlers. Like I said, it helps with the background noise, and it also helps them connect their sleep cycles. Okay, another way to prevent nightmares. Sleep toys. Let your toddler sleep with a stuffed animal or 5. Let them choose. I know with my son, when he was going through a phase where he was having nightmares, we would ask him, how many stuffies do you want to sleep with tonight? Do you want to sleep with just 1 or do you want to pick 5? And again, the control means so much. Giving your toddler, your preschooler that control really means a lot. And let them know they're in good company and that their stuffies can be their cuddling companion if they're feeling nervous or scared to go to sleep. I'm going to backtrack a minute here. I'm actually working on I don't know if you guys are on Instagram, but I'm working on an Instagram reel with my son to help with closing the door and being afraid of scary things like monsters, where he's taking one of his stuffies or his favorite bedtime buddy and he's putting him at, like, each night we're going to close the door a little bit more until the door's closed, but his stuffy's going to do it and he's going to stay there and protect him from the scary things that are outside his door. So I'm working on a reel for that. So that's also a good idea if you're dealing with night terrors or if you're dealing with your child coming out of their room because they're scared at night, or even if you're just trying to get that door closed. Okay. So another thing is to avoid scary movies and books. At this age, toddlers are still figuring out the fine line between what is real and what is make-believe. So a scary movie or books, even like little things with like scary fonts, that can definitely affect your child if you're reading books like that right before bed. So you want to use something that is very calm, and we don't want anything that's going to make your child's mind run. Okay, so we want some soothing, calming books. Anything that you share with your little one right before bed that contains a monster or a scary component, that could become a nightmare. So just keep that in mind as you're picking your books or as you're having those books available during your nighttime routine. What I like to do is I like to rotate our books. So usually once a month. I started doing this when he was an infant. Once a month, his birthday's on the 25th of every month. So every month on the 25th, I rotate his books. So I do that with some of his toys too. And even he's 5 now and we still do it with his books. Sometimes he'll pick 1 or 2 that he wants to stay in his rotation. So we'll keep those and we'll add like five new ones. We read 5 books a night. We don't read more than that. So another thing is to avoid violent games. This is super important. So you really want to avoid violent games or violent TV shows. Even though toddlers aren't playing the World of Warcraft or Grand Theft Auto or Manhunt or what are some of the other ones, Minecraft, they could still play games that affect their minds and that affects the way that they process things before bed. For example, even like those, some of the I'm trying to think of not Baby Bum, Little Baby Bum, or some Super Simple Songs. Some of them, depending on your baby's personality and temperament and how sensitive they are to things. Like if there's a piece of fruit being sliced in half and things splatter everywhere, that could be a little scary to them. I know it sounds a little extreme, but it totally depends on your child and how sensitive they are. Okay. So ways to comfort your child. The number one way is to be present. You really want to make sure that you're present with your child during these nightmares. Nightmares are unfamiliar territory to your child, and your toddler needs comfort. So you want to reassure your child that their dreams aren't real and that they can't hurt them. They might think that their vision happened somewhere. So let them know that it's all make-believe and that it didn't actually happen. Remind them that you're just right in the next room and they will be safe from any burglars or intruders or whatever it is that's scaring them. Okay. You also want to be a good listener. So allow your little one to rehash what happened. It could help talk about it so that they don't have to keep the scary vision bottled up inside. So let them talk about the dream. Let them talk about what happened to the dream. And by them telling you that what they're seeing in their nightmares, it gives them a chance to figure out if there's something happening in the real world that it gives a chance for you to figure out if there's something happening in the real world that could be triggering these nightmares. Okay. Label what is happening. So remind your child that nightmares aren't real, but minimize or dismiss what they went through. So tell them that you used to have scary dreams when you were a little kid and that sometimes you even still do. It helps relate and understand that what is happening to them also happens to other people. Okay. And again, you just want to comfort your child. You don't want to leave your little one all alone immediately following the aftermath. Give them some extra cuddles so that they know that they are safe. I do recommend doing this in their bedroom and not in your bedroom. That way they get used to knowing that their bedroom is just as safe as your bedroom. And it prevents them from making sleeping in your bed a nightly habit. Okay, and divert their imagination. I love this one. So immediately following a nightmare, your toddler may be imagining the worst. So instead, lead them down a path of what would have allowed their dream to have a more positive outcome. So turn it into a game. For example, if your child dreamed about being chased by a monster, ask them what would happen if the monster was their friend who was scared or lost and needed help. So just divert their imagination. So if they're saying, oh my God, there was a monster and he was chasing me and I couldn't get away. So divert that. Say, well, maybe that monster was looking for your help. Maybe the monster needed your help with getting back to find their family. You can even invite them to draw a picture of a positive outcome. So they could draw a picture depending on their age. So if we're talking like a 4 or 5 year old, you could have them draw a picture with the monster and with your child holding their hand, helping them with whatever the monster is struggling. Maybe the monster is scared too, and the monster doesn't know how to get back to their family, and your child's helping them find their family. Okay. A little bit more on that is kind of like retraining their brains, because bad dreams can become a habit. If your child has a few bad nights, and it starts to happen a lot, you want to kind of retrain their brains and expectations and don't make bedtime fun. Before bedtime, you talk about fun things. Talk about, I once had a family who I worked with their child was having nightmares. So we did something called visual imagination. So we would he would lay in his bed before nighttime, and he was really into Legos. And I said, okay, tonight you're going to dream, or she said, tonight you're going to dream about Legos. What kind of Lego land are you going to build? What are you going to build in your Lego land? Is there going to be houses, or maybe you're going to build a racetrack with your Legos? So this kind of changed it gave them happy thoughts before bed, and it kind of retrained their brain to think these happy thoughts before bed. Okay. And you want to create a new ending when they are having these bad dreams. So say they're having a reoccurring bad dream where the same thing is happening, make it silly and magical or empowering. Just think of the dream with a different ending to make it less like a nightmare. Perhaps your child is dreaming about a villain falling into a bathtub or falling from a building, and that's scary to him. Well, say, what if he falls into a bathtub with bubbles? Or your child pushes the monster off to the cliff and explodes. You can say, what if we flush him down the toilet, then he's going to be gone. So create a new ending. Okay. So another important way to comfort your child during these nightmares is make sure that they do have some lighting. If your toddler is afraid of the dark, you can use a nightlight, or you can even just give them a flashlight that they can turn on and off themselves. Sometimes nightlights are a little too stimulating depending on the age of your child and how bright the nightlight is, but you can definitely give them a flashlight. Just make sure that they know how to turn it on and off themselves. You can also turn on a hallway light, because they should be able to see that from like the cracks underneath their door. And like I said, even if you need to leave that bedroom door open a crack, if that makes them feel safer, because most of the time these nightmares, they do pass. Okay, so, and if you do need to, you can go ahead and help them fall asleep. So your little one may seem amped up and not ready for bed after they have this nightmares, but everyone does need their rest. So after a period of comforting and reassuring, let them know that it is time to go back to sleep. You're going to tuck your child in with their favorite stuffies and talk about happy dreams that they could have instead of these nightmares. Okay? So does anybody have any questions? Okay, so I'm just going to go over a few frequently asked questions that I often see with my clients when dealing with nightmares and night terrors. Okay, so one of the questions that I often get is it normal for them to experience it every night? Okay, so occasionally nightmares are to be expected, but if it is a daily occurrence, then there should be something, there could be something emotional or psychological triggering them. So just think about what's going on in the child's life. Is your child going through something stressful like potty training or preschool? Has there been a new sibling in the house? Did you move to a new house recently? Is your child getting enough sleep during the day? That's the number one reason why I see night terrors or nightmares happening, is because the child is not getting enough sleep during the day or even at night. Like I see it a lot in 2-year-olds, because nightmares start to happen around 2.5, 3 years old. And that's when they go through a regression and they want to drop their nap, but they're not quite ready yet. And then that's when the nightmares pop up. Okay. So if your child's not getting enough sleep, that could trigger the nightmares. It could be helpful also to keep a sleep diary or a journal and record what's happening during your child's day. You could include foods they're eating, books you're reading to them, any movies they've watched, games they played, or friends they visited, you may be able to pick up on a pattern that's responsible for fitful sleep. Also, I don't know if I mentioned this, but I do recommend that you cut TV time, screen time, an hour before bedtime at the preschool. Actually, closer to 2 hours if they're 2 or 3 years old. If they're 4 or 5 years old, I'd say about an hour before bedtime. Sorry, a message coming through. So cut screen time. That could also be triggering nightmares. Another question that I get often is it common when the child is sick? Do nightmares happen more frequently when the child isn't feeling well? So yes, nightmares and night terrors are more common when a child is sick. Mostly it's due to physical stress and exhaustion that come from being ill. The result is that the unconscious mind is more susceptible to whatever fears they have. Okay. I just see a question here. How to handle a night terror episode. Also, if they are unknowingly hurting the person trying to calm them. Okay, so that's a tough situation. So if they're having a night terror, remember, they don't know, their eyes could be open or their eyes could be closed, and they're not going to remember it the next day. One thing you don't want to do is try to wake them up, or you don't want to let them harm themselves or harm anybody else when they're trying to calm down. You probably heard the old myths or people saying, oh, put them in the shower. Don't do that. You don't want to put them in the shower, try to wake them up. Just try to stay in the room with them and until he's calmed down. Okay. I know it's hard and it's really hard to see them. And like you said, he or she is unknowingly hurting the person trying to calm him. So I would just stay in the room with him until it passes. Usually it's between 10 and usually it doesn't go up to 30 minutes. So usually it's like 5 to 10 minutes, but it can be up to 30 minutes. But yeah, stay with them, stay in the room with them until they calm down. They might not even ever wake up, because what's happening is they're having that night terror between their sleep cycles. So they're going from one sleep cycle to the next, and they're getting stuck there. They're getting stuck switching that sleep cycle, and that's when they're having this night terror. And stay with them until they calm down. If they're starting to hurt you, just back off. Let them on the bed, let them on the floor, wherever they are, and stay with them till they're calm. And then once calm, then you can go ahead and walk out or put them in a crib if they allow it. Okay. How about night fears? My son is 7 years old and scared during the night from all kinds of things. Okay, so again, I would start at the beginning with making sure that you eliminate any kind of scary activities that he's doing during the day. So during the day, make sure he's not playing any violent video games. Make sure that he's not reading any scary books, watching any scary TV shows. Make sure that you do have a bedtime routine. Make sure during that bedtime routine, you talk about happy things, nice things. Also, when he wakes up in the morning and he's remembering these nightmares, or if he's waking up in the middle of the night, talk about them. Talk about his nightmares, label them. Scared during the night from all kinds of things. So yeah, it sounds like he has a great imagination if it's all kinds of things, which is a wonderful thing. So like I said I almost said one of the previous slides, but try to spin it. Try to like if he's having a dream. I think I saw your post on the page about he's afraid to go get a drink of water because of a body being there. So the number one thing you could do is predetermine what you think he would be looking for in the night. So maybe have a glass of water on his nightstand. Okay. So then it's right there. It's readily available for him, that he can have that glass of water. And the second thing is, if he says he's afraid of a body being downstairs, walk down with him, show him that everything is safe. There's nothing to be afraid of. And so is his fears are they nightmares, or are they fears about things being there, and he didn't even sleep and wake up and have a dream about these things?
I think it just
If that's the case, if he's not even asleep yet, or if he's having fears about these things, do a lot of talking about it during the day. Talk about what's real and what's fake. Again, see what's going on during the day in his life. Is he watching too many shows about stuff like that? Have him draw pictures. I think you said he's 7, right? So yeah, draw pictures about how he's feeling and what he's seeing and what he's scared of and what he's scared of at night. Okay. So another frequently asked question I get is it common? Oh, I did say that about when a child is sick. Yes. What are some common childhood nightmares? So as we know, a lot of kids will dream and have nightmares about monsters and bugs, or toys that come to life, or scary animals. And your kid will dream about some of the craziest things. The monsters and bugs are often more of a symbol of an internal fear, while animals and toys could be a variation of like a character in a movie. Because think about it, like the flying monkeys in The Wizard of Oz, they're kind of creepy, right? So other common themes have to do with your child's, can be some separation anxiety. They could dream about being abandoned or getting lost or getting kidnapped. So if your child is dreaming about these things, they could be related to a phase they're going through as far as like separation anxiety. They could be also related to feelings of helplessness or lack of control over their environment. So again, think about what they're going through during the day, and think about what they're dreaming about. Like if they are dreaming about being abandoned or getting lost or getting kidnapped, maybe they're going through some separation anxiety. How can you help them, especially during those an hour or two before bedtime? Okay. So, and also if your child's dreaming about being chased or not being able to move, those dreams can often be symbolized as not being in control of a negative or stressful situation and trying to get away from it. So that's another thing. So if you have a child that's dreaming about being chased or not being able to move, even adults, we dream about stuff like that sometimes too, right? Can I eat food? Yes. We'll talk about food. Yes. Dreams often symbolize not being in control. So if you're dreaming about being chased, or if you're dreaming about not being able to move, there could be something going on where you just feel out of control with something going on in your life, or you could be dealing with a stressful situation that you're trying to get away from. Okay, so I do see a question, can night food cause nightmares? So I do know that milk can actually cause nightmares after a certain age. So toddlers should not have any dairy products after dinner. So I would not offer any milk, yogurt, anything about that after dinner. It can actually cause night wakings and nightmares. Okay. As far as other foods, I haven't done a whole lot of research in what foods can cause nightmares. I'm not sure if that depends on the person. I do know dairy products and milk products. Like I said, Hadar said, "Oh, I dream about this." You must dream about people chasing you. Okay, so sometimes it may be confusing between having nightmares or willingness to be with parents, to sleep due to separation anxiety, or both. My toddler wakes up almost on the middle of every night asking to join mom to sleep. So yeah, sometimes it is very hard to differentiate. Are you being played? Or is your child really having a nightmare? Yes, that can be hard. Consistency and firm boundaries are going to really play a big role, especially in these toddler ages. One thing you could try to do is if they do wake up in the middle of the night and come to your room, you could walk them back. Sometimes you just have to stay consistent with it. Walk them back to the room. You might have to do it 50 times the first night. You just have to stay really, really consistent. And if they are having a nightmare, make sure that they're very specific about what their nightmare is about. You could also start using a toddler clock if you're not already using one. A toddler clock is a great tool. I love toddler clocks. How old is your little one? Amir, how old is your little one? Toddler clock, 4.5. Yeah. Are you using a toddler clock? Toddler clocks are great at this age. I like to introduce them actually around like 20, 22 months. It's a great tool to have to remind them to stay in their bed, especially in the morning until you come get them. Also, it's great to have if you do quiet time with your toddlers. I recommend that after they drop their nap, which happens between 3 and 4, that you start using a toddler clock and you use that for quiet time during the day. So you can set the toddler clock for the light to come on after they're in their crib for quiet time for an hour. And or whatever your quiet time will be. I mean, if they're not used to doing quiet time, you're going to start with the super short. So you're going to start with your quiet time being like 10 minutes, and then you're gradually going to increase the time. If you want to know more about that, that's a whole different subject. Quiet time in toddlers. We can maybe do another sleep session here on it, or you could schedule a free 15-minute discovery call. We can talk about that and your goals on the discovery call as well. I feel like, am I missing anything? Any other questions? Oh, you're welcome. As a parent, it is helpful that you do remind yourself and your child that your child is experiencing the world in a fresh set of eyes. So every day is new to them, and they have a lot of information to process on a daily basis. At this stage, just remember that bad dreams can be especially scary for them, and they can be traumatic. So like I said earlier, when I first started this conversation, parenting is hard. They didn't tell us it was going to be this hard, did they? So your child may feel alone, and they may feel like they're the only ones seeing these frightening sights. So you want to make sure that you're reminding your toddler or your child that everyone does have dreams, both good dreams and bad dreams. And you want to encourage them to think about happy thoughts before bed so that they can have sweet and pleasant dreams. So if nobody has any questions, then we can go ahead and wrap this up. I, again, want to thank ParentGood for giving me the opportunity to speak today on this topic. It was a lot of fun, and I want to thank you guys that ask questions. I love questions. This will be recorded, and it will be available on the app. I believe it's there's a little icon on the bottom. I think it's the right-hand side that says talk. Does it say talk? Am I right? Okay, it says talk. So you can click on that if you want to get the replay. Also, if you think this would help somebody, one of your friends or a family member, if they're struggling with their child with nightmares or night terrors, share this with them. Any of our recordings or our sessions here are always going to be recorded and on the app under that little talk section. So if you even if it's a different topic, if I know we just did one on speaking to your child about sexuality and sexual education. So that was a good topic. If you have a friend that's struggling with a preteen that's dealing with stuff like that, please share this with them. I think there was another one I was watching the other day on dealing with picky eaters. That was a really good topic. So if you didn't have a chance to go back and watch that, very helpful. So yes, thank you all for being here today. And if nobody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Okay, have a good day, everyone.